Now is not the time to be on the sidelines in the real estate market. This is your host, Ron Wysakarski, for the Black Hole of Real Estate. And the market is heating up in ways that most people are in denial of, or maybe just not understanding exactly what's going on. But I'm here to tell you that's a busy market if you're engaged and following along some fundamental principles of how markets are working and when might just be the right time to buy and also to sell. So let me break this down for you. First case, we've been talking about this may very well be the most opportune time to make a purchase because they're at the end of a long run of uncertainty. And we're not at the end of it yet, but we're certainly in that area. And if you look at, the curves over time where they show, the market's kind of going up and then it plateaus and comes back down. That's my diagram for you. And we're somewhere maybe down in the trough in the bottom. Now, we're not, as far as activity, not price, activity, and it's different. So what we know is a lot of people are hesitating to buy. They're waiting till it's safe to buy. And the early adopters, those ones that are doing it on the forefront, they're getting the best possible pricing now because there's a lot of sellers that, for their own reasons, want to sell now. We're at the end of the year, and some people, for tax purposes, absolutely got to sell and close by December 31st. We should pay attention to that. There's tax reasons for people wanting to do that. We're also at a point where sellers are exhausted. They've been on the market for 6 months or a year and not sold. And at this time, coming up to the holidays, they might just want closure. So another good reason to be out there looking and making offers, even if it's a little bit lower than the asking price or even a lot. Throwing your hat in the ring right now, maybe there isn't a downside unless you're making an offer so low when you might pay more, you might poison your own water, but that's a conversation for another day. But it's a very opportune time as a buyer to be out there making offers that close before the end of the year. Now, on the other side of it, if you're a seller, it's also a very opportune time because buyers are hungry for new inventory. In fact, there's not a lot of new inventory out there. So when something hits the market, if it's priced anywhere in the market, it's getting a lot of activity. And I'm going to speak to you from personal experience. I closed a personal property out of state a couple weeks ago, and that was a long, long process. But the sales process wasn't long, but the actual process was to get that property up on the market. But different story, just closing on a property today with an investment group that I happen to be a part of. And we made an investment purchase, and we're going to do a rehab on a property. So we're buyers and sellers. Now, I also put a personal property up a couple of weeks ago that was an Airbnb property. We want to shift that money to something else. A couple of weeks later, we got an offer that we just could not refuse, and that's going to go get sold right now, too. And by the way, we're running an offer on a different property that better suits the needs that we want to make investments for today. So there's going to be the theorists out there that are going to tell you, here's what you should do. Here's how you should do it. Well, at a time when most people are terrified to be on the market, October, November, December of 2025, I'll give you a couple of examples where personally I'm in the market, in-state and out-of-state, to make deals on both sides. And right now I've just phrased you, 2 sales of properties owned and 2 purchases on the way. One just closed today. Offers going out tonight. That gets accepted. We'll close this month on that property as well. And we're looking at others. So it's a really good time to be on either side of the equation. What I'm looking at as an investor and a property owner is opportunity. And the properties I'm selling are ones that no longer meet the needs of my portfolio, but also they provide cash flow to make other purchases at a time where if I'm selling at a good price, but maybe not the highest of the high, it can be made up on the other side because if we're selling in a softer market and not getting the uber top price, but we're going to buy right away and also buy into that market, it's a pretty good deal. So, buy low, sell low. Okay. It's really rare to sell high and buy low. We'd all like to do it. I can tell you that both of the deals that I've got working on the sell side were actually very good for the market. And not every deal involves a realtor. And you got to be a little bit open-minded about how you're going to approach this. And I want people to understand that it's perfectly okay. I'm in the real estate business. And I do think somebody should have representation or an expertise. I've got 20 plus years of doing this and pushing 2,000 transactions between mortgage and real estate. So I've seen a lot of negotiation and contracts and closing. So I've got a pretty good understanding. Now, nobody knows it all, and certainly not me. but I know enough to keep myself, moderately dangerous in the market right now. And yet I'm a person that's very pragmatic and very, conservative in the way that I measure all of these investments and the way that I conduct all of these businesses. So why is the time now to do this activity? Well, it's just what I said. We're at an opportune time where most people aren't doing it. So as a seller, I get a lot of eyeballs on properties. And as a buyer, there's not a lot of competition right now. And that gives us the opportunity not always to get the lowest possible price, although that's important, but how about a fair price with great terms? That's a real win in a lot of situations, and that's one of the things I'm looking for. So, look, if you're looking to sell a property for cash and not get tip-top market value, then there's a lot of people that buy it, including me. But more importantly, if you're going to be on the retail side of things and you want to hire an agent to sell it, it is a good time to get on the market. And if you're priced somewhere within 5% of the price, you're probably going to get a lot of activity, probably go under contract, and probably sell pretty fast, as long as you're willing to be open-minded about a negotiation. And if you're making an offer right now, they always say it doesn't matter where you start out, it matters where you end up, except if the other side gets a little too offended because you're a little too aggressive, and they may not want to negotiate, or they may use it against you if there's multiple offers and use your offer as a lever to get the other one higher. I hope that makes sense to you. So wrapping this up for you, I can tell you it's the most opportune time to buy and sell, and I can show you the action steps that I'm taking to verify that it's not just theory. I'm an action taker in this, and if you have interest in doing that, then you and I have a lot to talk about. Keep subscribing. A lot of people have pushed the button this month. We're getting a record number of downloads and views, which I'm super happy about, and we're just going to get more of this out there, and we're just going to get better at it together. So hit the subscribe button. Definitely leave me some comments. And if you have a question about real estate, I want to know about it. This is your host, Ron Wojciechowski, for the Black Hole of Real Estate.